Candidates vying to be the next leader of UK's Conservative Party and therefore Prime Minister have just hours left to secure the support of at least 20 MPs to make it onto the ballot. The first round of voting is due to begin tomorrow. 11 MPs have so far put themselves forward for this, but just 3 have managed to pass the necessary threshold of support. The candidates will need at least 30 backers in order to make it into the second round of voting. The field will be whittled down to 2 finalists before the end of next week. On the other side of the political spectrum, reports suggest Britain's main opposition, Labour Party, will table a motion for a no-confidence vote in government today. Now, if passed, a national election may be in store for the country. Ollie Barrett joins us live now from London for more on this. Ollie, nominations for Tory leadership, they've begun now, and candidates are jockeying support from within the party. How is this race shaping up?
Well, in many ways, Dawn, it does look like who is able to beat Rishi Sunak might end up being the next Conservative leader if Rishi Sunak himself doesn't win. The former Chancellor, of course, who resigned last week and helped to prompt the demise of Boris Johnson and that statement that he had to give outside Downing Street saying that he would move aside. Now, Rishi Sunak is not broadly popular across the whole Conservative Party. Many are opposed to him because they believe he was disloyal to Boris Johnson. Others worry about his record in government as finance minister and the tax burden that he's imposed on British voters. Others say he's exactly the man for the job. They say he's a steady hand. They say he's been an excellent Chancellor and has shown integrity throughout this whole process. But the challenges to him, if that's the way we can describe it now, are also trying to gather their momentum. So Penny Mordaunt still considered a front runner, the Trade Minister. We're also looking at Nadhim Zahawi, the current Chancellor of the Exchequer. He's also considered to have a decent chance with his candidacy. Former Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt. There are other names, I won't go through them all, and that's part of the difficulty for the Conservative Party now, is trying to whittle it down to that final 2. But the 1922 committee that runs all of this thinks that that is very possible indeed by early or the middle of next week. And then, as you say, those 2 final candidates will then go to the party membership.
Well, meanwhile, Ollie, the Labour Party is expected to table a no-confidence vote against Boris Johnson, a push perhaps for a last opportunity to push him out of Downing Street before the end of Parliament. What are the chances, though, of that vote going through? And even if it's passed, what could that set the stage for?
Chances are very, very low indeed, Dawn. The Conservative Party is united enough, even in its current divided state, to not want to hand the Labour Party that particular political victory. If it were to succeed, then it's not necessarily the case that a general election flows from it, because there would be potentially the chance for someone else to show that they can command a viable majority in Parliament. And of course, the Conservatives do still have that large majority in Parliament, even if they do have difficulties at the top of the party at the moment and a campaign going on to work out who's going to be the next leader. So it won't pass. It won't mean a general election. But what the Labour Party are trying to do here is keep the focus on Boris Johnson and continue to point to what they say is a chaotic interim period of government now that it's been caused by the Conservative Party. And they'll also say that those cabinet ministers and others now vying to take over from Boris Johnson, the Labour Party will point to them and say that they were complicit in all of the wrongdoing that they will say took place on Boris Johnson's watch. The Conservatives, though, are trying to show that they can stay relatively united even through this period of a leadership process. And as I say, they will, in that way, vote against Labour's motion if it gets to that point and avoid the prospect even at this stage of an early general election.
Yeah, Tory members certainly have some important decisions to make. Ollie, thank you very much for that. Ollie Barrett in London.